Welcome back here to Mountain Connections. This next topic is huge for anyone that uses technology, and that's probably everyone watching the show right now. We have our great friends from Nexus IT, Earl Foote and Travis Gunn, here to talk about some alarming trends in tech that are going to be coming in this next year, 2020. Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Good morning, Diego.
Great to see you.
Super.
Good morning.
Good
Always
for
a
having
pleasure
us
to
on.
see you. Yeah,
Thanks,
always
likewise.
a pleasure to talk with you guys. I always leave our conversations feeling very informed. So let's talk about some of these tech trends that are coming in 2020 that are a little bit scary. Obviously, technology makes our lives so much easier. It allows us to connect to people all over the world, but there's also some downsides to it. It's kind of a double-edged sword, as with most things. And some of the scary things that are happening in the world of technology right now are coming in the world of smart home devices, I think, is one of the topics that we'll talk about today. Spying smart home devices. And I know that people who have smart TVs, the Alexa, anything like that, have kind of a little bit of a worry in the back of their mind, like, is this thing listening to me? I know a lot of people who've had songs turn on and stuff like that when they weren't actually requesting anything.
Sure.
So let's talk about how people can kind of protect themselves from spying smart home devices.
Yeah, good, very good topic. And certainly we don't want people, it seems like every time we come on here we talk about things that may make people paranoid, right? We don't want people to think that that's our objective. We just want to inform the public,
Not at all.
right?
And it's more going into a situation informed and understanding what could happen if you're not smart about the way that you handle technology. Because I think one side of technology makes it so you feel so hands-free and that you can just kind of let it loose, right? But if you're not actively engaging with the technology, actively understanding how it works and where the data is going and that sort of thing, you can kind of become victim to some of these things.
And the reality is that today's technology is so sophisticated and we are so dependent on it, and we all use it so much, but it's incredibly intrusive into our privacy, right?
Absolutely.
And our potential security. And smart home devices are certainly they're no exception to that. These smart home devices, digital assistants and smart TVs and thermostats and all those types of things, particularly the digital assistants, they have some potential to compromise our privacy. Supposedly, the companies who are producing those are playing by the rules, right?
Yep.
But there is question or accusations or conspiracy theories that potentially those things are listening when they're not activated. But the biggest potential concern there is that they could be hacked. They could be hacked and then used by a hacker to monitor our in-home activity or in-office activity 24/7, 365.
I think that they're trying to figure out, it's new technology. They're trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. Here's a really funny story. My daughter has a friend whose parents are pretty affluent, and my daughter's friend, and we have an Alexa in our house, and my daughter's friend was talking about how her dad was considering buying a Ferrari. And as a result, it's funny, over the next few days, I started getting some advertisements on my Facebook feed and my social media feed for Ferraris.
Ferrari advertisements.
Right? And they're trying to figure it out, right? But I think case in point is just, it was a fun conversation I wasn't even home for that they were having near the Alexa. They were probably playing music. They'd probably activated Alexa to play some music, and as a result, we started getting some Ferrari advertisements.
And it is, I mean, over the last year or 2 years, data surpassed oil as the most expensive and valuable commodity in the world.
Yep.
So it only makes sense that these companies are collecting data because that's what their profit is. That's their bottom line, is this data.
They're trying to figure it out.
And in a way, the hard part about these technologies is, yes, they're great, they're fun, you can use them, but a lot of the time in the fine print of those user agreements is where you see that you are opting in to have your data collected and have it sold to marketing agencies and to advertisers.
Absolutely.
So this is something, as we said, not to alarm anyone, not to make someone not consider buying these items, but it's something to consider before you go and purchase them.
You should absolutely be aware and educate yourself about your rights within their privacy policies and things like that.
Yep.
Educate what you can do in terms of opting out, because you mentioned, these big technology companies, one of their biggest sources of revenue is selling your data, right? It's not so much what they're producing, which is a big part of their revenue, but it's also selling all the information that they gather about you, about what you do on your smartphone, about what you're doing with your smart home devices and whatever.
Well, and I think people forget that Facebook is a service, right? They're providing you a service, and I think because we've, especially people in my generation, have become so accustomed to using MySpace and Facebook and these things. We grew up with it that we forget that this company is actually technically, from a legal standpoint, providing you with a service. And in order to pay for that service, they're using your data. That's exactly how they provide that free service to you. Sure. And so, as you said, Travis, that's their largest asset. And so, for you to think that they're not going to do that is one. You just have to be aware of that they're going to do that.
And I think what Earl said hits the nail on the head. Just become aware of what do I want these people to be able to, these companies to be able to access and do, because you have the ability to opt out in most cases. And you know, if you do that, then you're going to be more secure anyway, right?
Absolutely. And one of the next things I want to talk about, and this is something that I experienced personally, and honestly, it's been like 2 or 3 years that I've been experiencing this. We kind of talked about it, is the scam calls that I'm sure everyone gets. You get that random number, but over the last 3 years, they've become progressively more sophisticated. And what's the trend in the future is actually going to be what's called AI cloning, AI ransomware, where they're able to actually clone the voice of someone who maybe is close to you, an associate, a business partner, something like that, and make it even harder for you to discern whether this is a fake call or an actual call coming in.
Yeah, and not just voice, but video as well. So AI now really with a small snippet of your voice, just like you and I talking here on public TV, right? A small snippet of our voice and video of our face can recreate a fake video of you that is very, very believable. The voice sounds the same, it looks just like you if it's a video, and that can be leveraged to send messages, to post potentially compromising information to social media streams, fake information, but certainly your dear sweet grandmother could get a call from Diego saying, "Grandma, I'm stuck in Brussels and I need some help. Could you please wire me $3,000?" Whatever, right?
Yeah.
And very believable. It's going to sound just like you, and they're interactive.
Absolutely.
Right? So grandma can respond, and then the AI version of Diego can respond back.
This one doesn't have a positive outcome. There's no positive to this, right? This is one of those where, as we need to become more and more aware, because there's no positive to it. Part of the article that I read on this talked about celebrities, or those that spend time on television like yourself, are ones that probably need to be a bit more aware as it's in its infancy. As it becomes more and more out there in the world, we probably all ought to just have a little bit of knowledge as far as what it is.
Absolutely.
Right?
Just to educate yourself on the fact that this is out there, and be aware. Obviously, check your news sources, check where things are coming from, and if anything, if you feel a little fishy about it, hang up the phone and dial grandma and dial that person and see, hey, are you calling me right now? Is this actually happening?
Well, because robocalls nowadays are starting to mirror your phone number. You may receive a phone number that looks just like your own.
So close to yours that your initial input is to pick it up.
Like, what is this, right? That's intentional.
Yeah, absolutely. Gentlemen, I wish we could continue this conversation, but we are limited on time. So where can people go to learn more about Nexus IT and also get some of your expertise in person?
Yeah, sure. 435-487-9099 and nexusitc.net.
Excellent. Gentlemen, as
Thanks,
always,
Diego.
I really appreciate your guys' conversation. I have a great time with you guys. Be sure and check them out at nexusitc.net. You can get great information there, some really great tech tips as well. We'll be right back with much more right here on Mountain Connections. Don't go anywhere.